Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, the Tooth Fairy, and the Sandman unite when the boogeyman threatens to replace all of the wonder in the world with fear and darkness. Because of the gravity of the threat, the Man in the Moon names a fifth guardian, Jack Frost, to help. But Jack is not interested in rules and responsibility, being better known for mischief and having fun, and some of the guardians are unsure as to whether Jack is suitable for the job. He eventually agrees to help the Guardians in exchange for the memories kept in the teeth stolen by the boogeyman from the Tooth Fairy's realm. With the teeth, he can perhaps find out who he was before he became Jack Frost and why he is the way he is now. It's somewhat difficult to explain the plot of something like Rise of the Guardians because it really isn't set up as tightly as it could have been. The pacing is a bit weird. It doesn't feel much like a 3-act film, and it does have a lot of flawed elements. The plot sort of mills around a little while a majority of the film dedicates itself to scenarios where the Guardians are playing damage control, trying to make sure that kids still believe in them. What it lacks is that central focus, that one thing that it should be shooting for or working towards. In this case, that would probably be the final standoff with Pitch, which kind of peters out disappointingly and comes to what I felt was a somewhat unsatisfying conclusion. Because apart from getting a bit cheesy, for lack of a better word, I found myself feeling a bit sorry for the villain. Although these things don't do much to spoil the movie, they do, in my opinion, keep it from reaching its full potential. Which leads me to my next point. The other big thing the film focuses on is Jack's story, and really I almost wish that it had been even more central to the plot, because Jack is actually a fairly tragic character and winds up being quite sympathetic. There's an interesting parallel between him and the villain, because unlike the Guardians themselves, Jack is not believed in, and no one in the world can see him, and he can't understand why. And the whole motivation for the villain is that he's tired of being overlooked and he wants what the Guardians have. The opening scene with Jack Frost narrating is lovely. It sort of puts him in the position of any person constantly questioning the silence of their creator and their purpose in the world. And when you do find out his story, it's kind of heartbreaking. Even apart from Jack, the characters are definitely a strength in this film. There's a creative and refreshing spin on these classic characters, and they're all very likable. I took to all of them pretty quickly, and their interactions with each other are always enjoyable and entertaining, as they all seem to care about each other, but are also always in constant competition. The film's creativity definitely works in its favor, as well as its appearance, as Rise of the Guardians is gorgeous. As far as plain CG goes, it's probably the best looking film of the year, in large part because of the character design. The 3D is also good. It's true that this film has a lot of spectacle in it, but it has enough style, so I think it gets away with it alright. There are maybe one or two scenes that take advantage of the 3D, but I'm willing to overlook those, as they don't really get in the way of the movie. Also in Dreamworks' favor, they seem to have skimmed back on the pop culture references in this one, which is a good move because this is the sort of movie that would have suffered from them. I can recall only one, a little nod to Crocodile Dundee involving the Easter Bunny. For the most part, it did seem to take itself seriously and blessedly did not end in a dance party, which again would have been completely out of place in this case. The film, in my eyes, can sort of be split into two different movies. One is a film where a lot of beloved childhood myths come together and fight the forces of evil, and not much else. It's not a masterpiece, but the characters are really likable, and their design and personalities are enjoyable and creative, and it's just good fun. There are some good jokes, it's got its heart in the right place, and for the most part, it's something you haven't seen before. But the other film is a bit more than that. There really are moments that hint of brilliance here. So I would be lying if I said it wasn't a shame that while still thoroughly enjoyable, the movie could have been so much more. It's good fun, pure and simple, with a little style and depth thrown in to push it a little ahead of the average animated movie. It could have been a force to be reckoned with, but as it stands, it's still worth a look at.